My name is Jamil Janjua, and I'm the CEO of TCS Octara. Octara is a company that belongs to the TCS group of family, and it has established an enviable reputation as being one of the leading executive training service providers in Pakistan. A large part of our success is attributed to our chairman, Mr. Khalid Wan, whose personal commitment to encourage the development of the people at both TCS and at the Pakistan level. It has been very stimulating and very inspiring for us. We take great pride in delivering high quality learning experiences which are based on extensive research of training needs, after which programs are created, working with the best possible trainer, the content developed to address the needs, then marketed as a series of leadership acceleration programs, and finally delivered, ensuring all logistics is taken care of to ensure a high quality learning experience. Our team motto at Octara is to help you succeed. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to all the participants. I'm Zainab Isaji, and on behalf of TCS Octara, I welcome you all in today's webinar on digital transformation with cultural alignment. Before I give you a brief introduction about our speaker of the day, I would like to give you a basic format of the 60 minutes session. All the participants are requested to keep your mics muted and switch off their videos for smooth presentation. The floor will be open for Q&A in the last 15 minutes of the webinar. You may write your questions in the chat box, or you raise your hands for any questions and speaker will unmute you to speak off. Now, allow me to give you a brief introduction about the speaker, who's Uzma Aitqad. Uzma Aitqad is an organizational change and cultural design specialist. She's a founder, director of Magna People Change Consulting, which is in UK. She has over 22 years of experience of designing and driving transformational changes with culturally diverse teams across MENA, Asia Pacific countries, Azerbaijan, Africa, UK, including over a decade of international roles at BP. She is also the faculty member at the University of Britain University in UK, and she teaches over there international leadership development, OD, and cultural change. Apart from all these experience, she loves traveling. She watches documentaries and traveling vlogs, and she loves cooking. And now I would like Uzma to take the floor. Uzma, over to you.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. Those whom I have not met before, it would be a good idea to just give a quick introduction to who I am. So like Zainab said in the beginning, I basically, I am someone who is who has an experience of doing transformation projects for about 24 plus years across Middle East, North Africa, Azerbaijan, Asia Pacific countries, and now I'm based in the UK. My education basically is in the field of, I started off as an engineer, electronics engineer, but then I moved on to management roles, and I did MBA as well as MSc in organizational change from Birkbeck College, University of London. I am a certified APMG certified change practitioner, as well as a PMI certified project manager. After doing a lot of consulting projects around transformational change, I realized that there is a lack of focus on people, during the cycle of change. So I decided to open my own consulting firm in 2016. That's where, I've been practicing change management and culture design work with business leaders across the world. The name of my company is Magna People Change. Because alongside my consulting practice, I have been teaching as a visiting faculty in the Brighton University, and I teach OD and transformation and change and HR modules there. Now we move on to the topic of today's webinar. It is about digital transformation with cultural alignment. The agenda is basically being broken down into 4 chunks. In the first section, we will understand the context of digital transformation. In the second section, we will understand how digital transformation becomes a success in the business world. What are the key elements that contribute to the success of digital transformation for a business? In the third section, we will look into the challenges involved in delivering a successful digital transformation. And the fourth section is about how Magna People Change can help businesses deliver successful change. So before basically I move into the digital, into the fact that how actually we've been transformed culturally in our personal lives far as digital transformation is concerned, or how businesses need to transform culturally far as digital transformation is concerned, I think I would like to share some statistics and insights into the digital transformation, and understand where the world, where do we stand in the world today. So if you look at this slide, you will understand that we are about 7.75 billion people in the world today, and more than half of those people actually are using internet, which is really glaring, because just I think 6 years ago this number was half. Like from 4.6, it was somewhere around 2.3 billion people. And out of these internet users, there are about 53% of people who are active social media users. So you can imagine this number rising every day. And the forecast is that maybe in the next couple of years is going to, the count of internet users and the social media users is going to be 2/3 of the total world's population. So this really gives us a very good idea of what kind of a world we are living in. So now I move on to this pulse point. So this is a poll, a quick poll. I'll give you a minute to answer this question. In your personal lives, do you feel that digital transformation has literally, culturally transformed you? Do you disagree with this, agree with this? So I'm just opening the poll now. I've opened the poll, so you guys can start giving me your thoughts. Okay, so has it been a minute now? Okay, so I'll end it. It's really, a good response from you. You all agree that your personal lives have also been culturally transformed. So 60% of the people agree with this, and 30% of the people strongly agree with this, and there are 10% who are neutral. So I think the majority of our audience is well aware of the fact that our personal lives have been literally impacted by this digital disruption. So now I move to my next slide, where we can see, when we said like our personal lives have literally transformed, so we can really see the way, for example, we interact in family today versus how we used to interact in the past. As you can see, in the past, people used to sit together, they used to kind of share stories, laugh together, talk to each other, whereas today is mostly, maybe if you are sitting on the same sofa, but it's actually everybody in their own world, in their own digital worlds, as you can see. Not a good picture. Now, in the next slide, I'm going to share with you the way our children used to play in the past. They used to be out and about in the grounds, playing together, whereas now, from a very small age, children, they are given iPads or iPhones, and they're left in their own digital worlds to figure out how it all works, how to play. So it's like kind of making us less socialized animals, I would say. And also you can see now our consumer behavior is completely transformed. The way we shop, the way we travel, the way we entertain, the way we socialize, that is all kind of changed. As you can see, like eBay and Amazon has taken over normal malls, Airbnb, Uber has taken over, like, you know, staying in the hotels. Netflix is completely revolutionized our entertainment industry. Spotify we use for music, Facebook, chat, Snapchat is for socializing. So we are completely different human beings. Over a decade, we are completely digitally transformed. And that is called a true transformation, because technology is not just a tool. Technology is become our way of life. I really love this picture where, you know, a true transformation cannot be better described, where you can see how a butterfly actually is transformed, and it goes through real hardships, but the true transformation is when butterfly comes it really is transformed, and it completely takes over, and it starts flying. So that is the major change that happens in butterfly's life. Now we look into so we've seen so far that how digital transformation has impacted our personal lives, but now we'll see how it affects our workplace. Because all the control decisions, the meetings, the insights, data analytics, everything is now controlled digitally in businesses. And every business is faced with this challenge of digital disruption. Either they will be disrupted or they will disrupt. So that is this kind of a choice we have in businesses today. So I would like to run this quick poll here. How many of you think that digital capability is the most important thing for the success of a digitally transformed business? I'll open this poll now. Okay, so it means 45% of our audience believes, okay, it's still moving. I'll give some more time. It means, okay, so majority of our people actually either strongly agree or agree with the fact that digital capability is the most important thing for the success of digital transformation. And there are 11% of people who strongly disagree. That's an interesting poll results. I think we'll wait for the slides to come now that I'm going to share with you in a bit. And that will tell you basically that who is actually 100% correct. So I would like you to hold your thoughts here. I'll end the poll. I would like to hold your thoughts here and just pay attention to my next slides, and just you will make out yourself that what actually are the key contributors to the success of any business on this digital transformation journey. So I'm going to share here with you basically a research insight or a research study done by MIT Center for Digital Business with Capgemini consulting firm in the UK. So they basically interviewed 4,000 businesses across 40 different countries. And they wanted to find out like what makes some businesses excel in the journey of digital transformation, whereas some they leave behind. So what are the main contributors? And they coined this term, which is called digital mastery. Like these are the people who are the like leaders in, and they are in the forefront. They are the leaders of digital transformation. And they found out that it's not only the digital capability that contributes to the success of digital masters, but it's also the leadership capability. So it's not only the digital know-how that contributes, but also the leadership capability. And I'll tell you in a bit what is meant by digital capability. So digital capability simply means the ability to see technology as a way to change the way businesses do things. So they see technology as a tool. Technology is not the end game, but it's just a tool. Like they use AI or they use ERPs or they use blockchain just as a tool to come closer to their customers, or to make a difference in their business model, or to improve the efficiency of their processes. But technology is not the end. Technology is not the goal. The goal is to improve your customer experience, or improve your operational efficiency, or improve the working of your business model. So that is all about digital capability. And what is leadership capability? Leadership capability simply means the ability of leadership that turns technology into transformation. So this is another area that leaders, they dedicate themselves to. And they make sure that technology actually is used as a facilitator, and how it can be transformed into new ways of doing things. And I would like to share one more thing here, that there was very interesting findings of that study that it suggested that none of the businesses who excelled in digital transformation, it was bottoms up. For none of them, it was bottoms up. It was always top down. It was always coming from the leaders. It was always, a blessing of their leaders who actually made sure that they were involved actively throughout the process of change. So it can never be a bottoms up change. So that is very, very interesting, the key role of leaders in the success of digital transformation. So my dear friends, who basically said to the poll that they disagree with the fact, or they agree with the fact that digital having digital capability is the most important thing, I'm afraid to say that's not the answer. The answer is that leadership capability is equally important. And so that key thing for us to remember is that digital transformation is not simply the implementation of technology, or it's not about accumulation of different pieces of state of the art technology, but it's a mindset. It's a mindset who sees technologies as tools that can be used to achieve process efficiency, that can be used to achieve or enhance customer engagement. So that's the key point. And digital transformation is not about going paperless, or it's not about developing web-based application. It's not about moving to cloud and upgrading servers or integrating digital technologies. So that is the key thing to remember. And this all is very important. Why? Because it directly links to revenue generation for a company. It directly links to the profitability of a business for any company. As you can see, the findings of the survey suggested that digital masters, basically, they are 9% more revenue. They're high on revenue generation, and 26% they are high on profitability. So it is linked to business. I think profit and loss working and dynamics. So that is why it is very important to understand that. I think now it would be a good point for us to just share your thoughts and opinion about leadership capability. What do you think leadership capability is all about? So if you could put your thoughts on a chat box, then I'll request the facilitators of this webinar to please share their thoughts with me. And I give you 1 minute for that. So your time starts now. Zena?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see any?
I'm waiting for people to answer.
Okay.
Okay. So there's Zishan,
Mm-hmm.
Mohammed Zishan, saying that setting an example and be patient.
Yeah, very good.
Junaid Rahman says developing a sense. JJ
Yeah.
says to envision the potential of technology in enhancing the business goals.
Yes, absolutely. All of you are absolutely right. So it's all about, sorry, go on.
There are two more. Can
Okay.
I say? Okay, it's Shazeb saying to build and take a team a long way with you.
Yes.
Asghar Ali says ability to influence positively.
Absolutely.
And Adil Ahmed says ability to encourage and support the new technology. And there are also coming up. Even Aisha says being ahead of the current trends.
Okay, so great thoughts, and you all are right in your, what you said, because leadership capability is all about engaging people, basically, on the journey of this digital transformation. Having a vision, first of all, then engaging them, and then communications, and then making them feel, supported, and enabling them to embrace digital transformation without any resistance. So it's about everything. So if I move on to the next slide, and here I would like to share with you a case study of a very famous luxury fashion brand called Burberry. So Burberry is one of the examples of successful digitally transformed businesses here in the UK and also in the world. And it all started with a vision. So their CEO, Angela Ahrendts, she had a vision that we want to be the first company that's fully digital. And she wanted the experience for customers to be like a complete end-to-end digital, that they could access to Burberry across any device, anywhere, anytime. So that was the vision she started off with. And how he basically crafted the vision. As you can see, I think some of you in the thoughts, in their thoughts on the chat box said that it's about envisioning a digital, future for you. So yes, she started off with a vision that one day Burberry will be a business or a fashion brand that actually will be available and accessible on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and they kind of connected all these insights or data analytics coming from these social media platforms to their sales force. So the whole idea was to make informed decisions. It was not happening in silos. It was all integrated, as you can see. So technology is being used as a tool here, because they use Twitter, for example, for tweet walk, way back in 2011, and they started tweeting images of their models on Twitter. So basically, they started engaging their customers. They use technology as a tool to come closer to basically their brand. And also their website is reported to be the best in the world of fashion industry, where they have like music acoustics, they have everything like personalization available on their websites. You can go and you can have your your own personalized trench coats made in no time. So the whole of the technology, the idea was to enhance the customer experience through the use of technology. So it all started with a vision. And then they changed their processes. They said not only they'll have an IT department, and which every company has, but they said they will have 3 more new functions. They'll have a social media department, they'll have a mobile department, they'll have an insight and analytics department, and everything, the whole of IT will be combined with marketing. So, it has an impact on the P&L, profit and loss as well. So you can see how strategic it is, how that simple vision translates into making changes into the processes, because it's not only that vision sits in isolation, but rather it is all integrated and weaved through the whole recipe, the whole digital recipe for success. They made their CIO, they said that CIO would not be sitting at the back of the bus, but where CIT will actually sit in the front in terms of leading the data analytics, in terms of deriving insights from mobiles and social media, and connecting it to marketing and sales. And then they build the culture. They build the culture in the organization that people were taken along with this vision. People were involved through webcasts. There were conferences which were streamed. There were weekly internal communication videos. There were ads in the company, fashion ads, which were basically shared with employees before anyone else could see them. So company, like the people at all levels, were actually engaged into the process of change, and a culture of digital mindset actually was harnessed. So it's not just about creating a brand, but it's all about creating a great company. So the whole company then, you develop, you set the rhythm, and you develop it in such a way that the company embraces that digitization willingly and with a desire and confidence. So that was a great example of Burberry, and that made them move from a linear, I think, digital transformation to exponential digital transformation in 2016. And that, of course, impacted their profitability, that impacted their revenue scores, and it made company a great success. And they definitely became digital masters. So I think their digital recipe, Burberry's digital recipe was very simple. It was about crafting a vision. It was about developing, harnessing an analytics culture, and it was about investing, prioritizing the funding and investments into the right direction. And that all was carried out under the umbrella of a strong digital leadership. And now I think it's time to just think about what could be the biggest barrier to delivering such a successful digital transformation, in your opinion. So I'll give you 1 minute again, and you guys can just share your thoughts on chat box for me. So your time starts now. Yes, Zainab, can you start sharing?
Yeah, Sarfraz says reluctance to change. Aisha says IT infrastructure and technology. Adil Ahmed says resisting to use new technology. Junaid says cybersecurity. Muhammad Khalid, employee engagement, effective communication,
Yeah.
expectation settings.
Okay, great.
JJ says understanding technologies.
Okay, great. I think it would be good if now I share with you the survey results. And this survey was done by McKinsey uh, in 2016. And they asked this question. Basically, they asked, I think, around 2,000 people, 2,000 companies and executives around the biggest challenge that a company can face in terms of delivering successful digital transformation. And what they found out was that culture and behavioral challenges were on the top. So it's, yes, there are challenges related to, lack of funding or lack of IT infrastructure, or organizational structure not aligned, or lack of senior support, and all of those things, they are there. But the leading factor is cultural and behavioral change, as you can see. And what do we mean by cultural and behavioral changes? I think through Burberry example also, that also demonstrated. I mean, it was again uh, the case study that was done, and they found out that the whole change, the digital change that was happening in Burberry, it had an impact on the business. Yes, it had an impact, but it was not an equal impact on different parts of the business. So it was some impact on business models, some impact on processes, because everything was changing as a result of digitization, some impact on infrastructure, on organization, on customer experience, but the most or the biggest impact was on Burberry culture. Okay. And when we say culture, what do we mean by it? Culture, I'll just quickly share with you. Culture basically is the shared ways of doing things in organization, how we do things in organization. Okay. So culture allows you to execute basically. So it acts like tendons and ligaments that hold the body. So it is that important. It is how we perceive things in organization, what stories we tell each other, what kind of a language we speak, what kind of a mindset we have towards, the attitude we have towards things, and how do we carry out things. So like somebody in, I think the chat box said, mentioned about resistance to change. So resistance to change is nothing but a mindset, because either people are threatened of change, or they think their jobs will be lost as a result of that digitization. So everything, this is all, it all comes under the umbrella of the culture of organization. So culture, as you can see in this slide, is something which is like, so there is a formal part of culture which we can see in the form of governance, in the form of the espoused values that businesses have, or in the form of management practices. But the majority of culture actually sits beneath water. It's like the informal things. It's how we do things. What kind of attitudes we have, what kind of a language we speak, what kind of stories we tell, what kind of symbols we have in organizations, what kind of, what we think is important, where we put our controls. All of these things are informal ways of formulating a culture and play a very key role. I would just quickly like to share with you when we say resistance to embrace digitization, why it is. As you can see, it's a quick, at a quick glance, you can see the comparison between analog and digital culture. Digital culture is nothing but a digital mindset. So at a customer demand level, you can see a conventional or a traditional approach in the company would be to push your products out to the customers. Whereas in a company having a digital mindset, like Burberry, we saw an example of, they would pull ideas from their market rather than pushing their products. So that's why the data analytics has become so important, because it tells you about what people like, how they want to see that brand going forward, what is their importance. And that's what you tailor your product around. You weave your product around people or customers' preferences. Okay. And then organization. At an organizational level, what does it mean? Because you must have seen some organizations having a very hierarchical structure where, the command and chain and command dynamics are very stringent, strict, where decision making is not delegated to the ground level. So that is where you can't make quick decisions. And that is a traditional way of doing things. Whereas in the digital mindset, an organization which has a digital mindset, they will have a flat hierarchy. They will make rapid decisions. Every employee will be empowered. I remember Steve Jobs saying, in one of his videos, that Apple is such a big company, but it's run like a startup. What does it mean? That people actually, they run small projects, and they experiment all the time. They take risks. Their attitudes, when we talk about attitudes, it's all about taking risks. It's all about being transparent. It's all about being agile. It's all about being collaborative. So there is no concept of siloed working. So we have to see, what is happening in our organizations. If we are undertaking digital initiatives, if we are digitizing our processes, or our customer experiences, is like the culture in our company is still a traditional culture? Is it still hierarchical? Is still like not prepared to taking risks, not being transparent, not like working in silos? Or it's the other culture? And if it's not, then alongside digitization, we will have to work on the culture of our companies. And there was a McKinsey research again, and they found out that there are 3 top interventions that we can make in order to address barriers to fostering a digital culture. And these 3 interventions are: number 1, taking calculated risks. You basically prepare your organization to be able to to be willing to take risks, basically. And failures should not be seen as disasters or end of the story. Failures should be seen as a source of learning lessons. and you should move on from your failures. So that is the kind of culture that need to be harnessed in companies. Like I gave you an example of Apple. Then the second thing is building a customer focused organization, and that's where data analytics come into play. Like a lot of companies now are moving into the direction of deploying data analytics tools and understanding what customers value the most and tailoring their products around customer needs and wants rather than the other way around. And the third intervention possibly could be busting silos. Like, we all tend to like teams, because I think we all tend to be tribal in some sense. So, I've seen in my consulting practice many times that, for example, teams in the IT department, they're not talking to teams in the finance, or finance is not talking to sales, and sales is not talking to marketing. So that is not a good sign, and that is not the sign of having a digital mindset, and that's really a big barrier to fostering digital mindset. So if you are undertaking digitization in your company, then you have to look into all of these things. Are you really customer focused? Are you really willing to take risks? Are you really working in a more transparent and collaborative fashion? So that's what we need to look into. And now I would like to, share with you how in Magna People Change, in my consultancy, we can help organization harness digital culture and digital mindset. So we at Magna, we use the 6-staged methodology, which is called Admiral, which is basically a structured approach to start from the point where you understand your existing cultural footprint. So we run assessment using different tools such as Cultural Web, and we analyze the culture, the existing culture of organization, just to understand the core paradigm, the core cultural paradigm. What are the underlying assumptions? What are the enablers and blockers in your culture that actually you can make use of? And once after understanding or analyzing the culture, we design new culture as required or as support, as something that can support our vision and strategy. So culture, which is aligned with vision and strategy, we design those cultural attributes. We design behaviors that we would like to see prevalent in our company. Then we mobilize change. We engage people into the process of change. We do stakeholder analysis. We do change impact assessment analysis. We do operational readiness assessment analysis. We build change network agency, which includes everyone in the company into the process of change. Some people take the role of change champions, some people become change leaders, some people are change sponsors. So, everybody is clear on their roles into the process of change, and then we embed those cultures. We, through immersion workshops, and then we reinforce cultures. And by reinforcing, I mean making sure that your HR practices are basically rewarding the right behaviors, your leadership is capable of role modeling, and everything actually contributes to the reinforcement of new culture. And then we evaluate success via analytics. So we run pulse surveys and analytics. We use audits and surveys, and we find out how people are behaving and how it is kind of linked to the overall performance of the business. So everything is, in this approach is coherent, and it's structured, and it's aligned with what PwC actually in their research, they say, as you can see on the right hand side, that key elements of the workplace culture, they should basically address, it is actually composed of mental maps and roles and patterns, and everything we take care of through this methodology, that, what are the underlying assumptions, for example, so to address the mental maps, what people hold important, in organization, who are their heroes, and what is important to them, so all of those mental maps and those patterns and ways of doing things are addressed through basically designing new culture and analyzing existing culture, and then defining the roles. So this is, I think, the end of my talk now, and I would like to basically hear from you if there are any questions before we conclude this session. Any questions so far? So Zainab, can you please?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm just waiting for the questions to pop in.
So you can, we can open the mics and people can actually.
Yeah, sure. If they want to open the mics and they want to speak up.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Uzma. This is Sarim. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much for this wonderful session. It's really informative. My question is basically, we do understand the importance of vision and leadership, and also the cultural change through the digitization. So, what do you suggest us to change the thoughts of the people? Like, the cultural change, much depending upon the change of thinking. So, say something about, any model or any strategy which you want to advise us for that.
Sure. So what, what we use in our practice here is a tool called Cultural Web. So that's the tool we use through which basically we analyze how people think, what stories. So there are like 6 dimensions that we gauge people's current understanding on, how people, for example, what kind of stories are told in the organization, who are the heroes or who are the mavericks, or what kind of, like we study the symbols in organizations that you use, is it an open office, or is it like what kind of meetings structure you have in place, what kind of KPIs you measure in your organization, because that tells about your mindset as well, like what things are important in organizations. And after doing that study, we come to know the core paradigm, the cultural paradigm of organization, with what are the enablers, like positive cultural attributes existing, and what are the negative cultural attributes existing. Because whatever we do, basically our behaviors, basically they're based on the assumptions that we have, and assumptions are based on the beliefs that we have. So we kind of do a deeper study into it, and we find out why people behave the way they behave. And once we understand the emotional connections of what are the emotional connections into behaviors and the underlying assumptions, then it is very easy for us to address those things through our targeted communication and through our engagement strategy. And then also we run workshops with leadership teams to understand what kind of behaviors they want to see in the future. For example, like if you take the example of Burberry, they must have gone through this exercise of, defining new cultures, like what is it in the space of customer experience that they want to improve on, and how they want their teams to basically react to it, to get into the rhythm of, for example, using data analytics all the time, and how to become like creative, and how to, so of course all of those aspirations, they need to be translated into the behaviors. And that's the workshop we run with companies. So then we identify, for example, 3 or 5 key behaviors that they want to harness, And that's how we design new cultures. So it's yes, so it's all about what is in your mind. Like I said, the underlying assumptions, the mind maps that you carry, the patterns that you have. So we need to understand all of those things at a deeper level, and then address them, and then design new behaviors based on your aspirations, and then rolling it out.
Okay, I'm merging two questions. They're from Shahzeb and Adil Ahmed Sharif. It's how can we encourage staff to adapt change? If employees do not contribute to technology change, how to come over it? Their fear for changing the work practices.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Actually, that is done through, I would say, targeted communication and proper having a good engagement strategy. Because most of the time, people react to change or resist to change is based on the fact that they don't see what is in it for them. So there is a need to make them aware of the change benefits, why this change is happening, involving them into the process of change. So, in my practice, I use four-staged, what should I say, communication strategy. So it is like in the first stage, we make them aware of change. Then in the second stage, we build the desire for change in them. And that is all done through different communication, strategies and targeted communication methods. And the third stage is then enabling them to embrace that change. So like upskilling them or, supporting them. And then the fourth stage is gaining their commitment and buy-in to change. So it's a very structured approach, but it's once you let your people know why this change is happening, number one, and what is in it for them, basically, and make it beneficial to them at that level. So it's not only beneficial for the company, but it's beneficial for people as well, and how it's going to ease their life in the business in the future. If you could demonstrate that, I think people then come along the way, and that's how you manage resistance. Yes, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, there's another question from Mohammed Zishan. He's saying one question we commonly face is that although we want to go through the transformation, but we have limited finances. What do you recommend on them?
I think if you remember the Burberry example, the digital recipe that I shared with you. So you must have noticed there they had like prioritizing on investment, prioritizing your investment it also comes under leadership skills. So you really need to be prudent and sharp and competent enough to understand what is like where to spend and where, because everybody has got limited resources and limited funds. So you have to be competent enough to make a call that what is the most important thing, how will you carry out this digitization. So that again is like the whole exercise that you have to run, whether it's going to be all in one go, or it's going to be an incremental change, or it's going to be in stages, and then how will that be carried out. So it all should be linked to your, like, what are you trying to achieve, what is the goal, and then you acquire technology. Many times I've seen in my consulting practice that a lot of time businesses, they just become part of the rat race, and they just start following others, and they say, okay, that company or that business has done SAP, then I also need SAP, without realizing how it's going to be implemented or what benefits am I going to drive, because every company is different, every business is different. So you really have to understand your business, connect it to the vision you have, and then the strategy, and you go like that. That's how you prioritize your spending.
Okay, Sana Haq is asking that how sales and service sector can be increased through digital media.
if I understood your question correctly, like I would think the use of analytics can hugely benefit sales and marketing teams. So if you really understand what your customers want, and if you could somehow pull those insights through data analytics, and then you can connect it to your sales force, that's how you can actually be on the pulse, on, really understand them better, and then advise your manufacturing teams or your design teams to, tweak changes as required by customers, and then, tailor your product accordingly. So I think, yes, data analytics is the answer for that.
There's a question from Umar Murad. He's saying, when we compare tech companies via conventional business, what, based on your experience, why are they so effective and agile in digital mindset that holds conventional business embracing the change?
Very good question. I think most of the digital companies or IT companies, tech giants like, Google or Facebook or Twitter, I mean, they all have a startup culture. Like I said, Steve Jobs said in Apple, they have a startup culture. They run their company like, people running their projects, having full autonomy, and empowered with decision making, and they can make mistakes. So and it's a very collaborative, very agile, very creative kind of environment, very creative kind of culture, very transparent and open. And it's not at all hierarchical. So I think that plays a key role. And that's the biggest differentiator between tech companies and the normal traditional companies. In my experience, I've seen, like, big companies, they are so well set in their old ways of doing things that, they're not able to overcome this cultural barrier. And that becomes the reason for, failing on their digital initiatives. Like they would spend a lot on technology, like they acquire SAP, ERPs, latest versions of SAP, etc., or technology or AI solutions. But if their people are not kind of comfortable with that technology, or they're not embracing that technology fully, then there's that, I mean, that then it's not a successful thing. And that's why, the statistics show that 70% of businesses actually fail as a result of,
Okay, I'm just taking the last question because it's
Yeah.
like 3:57 right now.
Yeah.
JJ is asking, what is the average time it will take to complete your Admiral process?
Culture change is not with immediate effect, as you would agree. So it's I think normally it takes somewhere between 9 months to 2 years, of time to fully change the culture. But you can start seeing the results, I think, within a year.
Okay, let's take the last one. Irfan Husani. He's asking, main hurdle in digitalize the business is the environment. If we work with our business partners simultaneously, it can be boosted together. But how it can be possible simultaneously, specifically in Pakistani culture within integrating applications?
So if I understood your question correctly, I think you're talking about a lot of like parties involved and different cultures involved. Is that what the question is? And
Yeah.
yeah, and that adds to the challenges. But again, I'll come back to the point that you have to be, as a leader of your business, you have to be really clear on what kind of behaviors you want to see in your company. And with due respect, and I'm sorry to say, but I think I haven't seen many businesses and business leaders focusing on their vision and connecting it to the kind of behaviors they want to see as a result of, like, you really need to be clear on what digital behaviors you want to see in your company. And then it's like a science, you design it and then you harness it. And it's a methodology that you follow. So it's not by just saying it or just dreaming of it. You have to enact it. You have to plan it. You have to execute it and make it happen. Yeah.
Uzma, that's it. There's no more questions.
Okay, great. So now I'll just conclude my talk. So the summary, in summary, we understood the context of the digital world we are in. We just got to know what is important for a business to kind of, get a success in digital transformation. We understood the cultural challenges and how we can overcome them. And we also learned about how Magna People Change can help through their 6-stage methodology. And now I would like to thank you all for attending this webinar. If you have any more questions and you would like to discuss with me, then you can, there is a Calendly link. You can book a free call with me. Or if you are interested in basically assessing the digital readiness of your company or organization, then also you can email me at this address, and I can share the assessment tool that I've developed, and you can use it. So it's free.
Okay, I just want to thank you, Uzma, for this interactive session. It was very informative. I just want to add over here that all the participants, they will receive a digital certificate from Octara and by Uzma also by the end of the session. And other than that, I just want to give you a small announcement before we end up. During the pandemic, TCS Octara, they started a small group, WhatsApp group by the name of TCS Octara Web Mall Plus, where we started disseminating webinars, free webinars, chats, blogs, international by the international and the national experts. And it's been going very well. We are getting very good response from that. And I'm sharing the registration link for that chat group in the chat, so that if you would like to get learnings from that, futuristic learnings, so you can get registered over there and become the partner of TCS Octara Webmall. So I'm just sharing it in the web in the chat. And other than that, I would request Uzma just to switch off your screen, sharing screen, so that we can take a picture of all the participants.
Sure.
And I would request everybody to switch on their camera. And if you want to do a thumbs up or anything, whatever you would like to do it, you can share it with us. Your expressions.
But here, while I'm start videoing, you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. So message pop up.
Now you can start it, sir. It was stopped during the presentation.
But it's still stopped.
Can I? Where are you? What's your name?
Mohammed Shaukat.
I've just asked to
Now,
start.
fine.
You there?
Yeah.
Yeah. We need your smiley face, Mr. Shaukat.
Thank you.
There are a lot of people who are still not showing the video. So if we could have the videos on.
Is everybody on?
So Zainab, are you taking the?
Yeah, me, Aisha, and we are all taking.
Okay. Okay. Is it all? It's done?
2 minutes. Yeah, it's done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Now I just want to thank everybody, all the participants over here, speaker, Uzma, and my team over here for all your support. And in the end, I would invite our CEO, Octara, Jamil Janjua, also known as JJ, for his concluding remarks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Uzma, for a very engaging and useful presentation. I can only say that you've already summarized your presentation very well in your last slide, and I'm sure that it'd be useful for people to have a look at your presentation if it is recorded, because I thought it was very useful not only for the purposes of digital transformation, for any change management program that is in mind. I think all the steps that you have identified are very useful in terms of bringing about change, by cultural means or by at least other means. I think the point that you very well made was that change or cultural alignment can only be brought about with a top-down approach. I think that was that point was very well made, and it's very important that the ownership is taken at the top level, because it can never be successful if it is not driven by the top, And of course, like the Burberry example, that was a very good example of progress on digital transformation, bringing about the leadership capability as well as having the digital capability. So thank you very much for all those points. My assessment of your presentation by way of how the participants, were engaged or liked it is by the attendance. On an average of any webinar that we have been doing for the last 1 year now, or at least during the pandemic. If there are, say, 100 people registering, then 50 people actually come on board, when the presentation has been made. And the success factor is when I see that out of those, whoever is present, if more than 50% are there all the way till the end, then that means that has been a very engaging and a very useful session for the participants. And I'm very pleased to say that the attendance in this particular program has been very high, both in terms of staying with us and also coming on board and asking all those questions. I haven't seen so many questions coming up till the end. So thank you very much. It's very impressive to see so many young ladies in UK. We've had 2 or 3 other ladies making presentations who are very progressive in their approach, who are doing very well and giving Pakistan a very good name in the industry. So on behalf of Pakistan, on behalf of all the participants who have watched this presentation, have heard this presentation, we would like to thank you for your time. And we hope that we can get together again soon in the near future. I also like to thank all the participants who stayed back up to this time, and also my team at Karachi, Octara, with specific to Uzma, Sarim, and Aisha, and whoever was else I have not been able to point out. So thank you very much again, and you would like to say anything, last few words?
I would just like to thank you and your team. They've been wonderful and very patient with me. And thanks to all the participants, really, to be such a good audience. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.